Hey, Pay, how's it going? Appreciate the patience on getting this video shot. I just wanted to be able to answer the questions in a little more of a longer format because there was a lot of questions and they're not simple, kind of yes, no answers or one sentence answers. So I figured this would be the best way that I can actually kind of walk through some of the data, walk through the ad account, the site, a few thoughts that I have, and kind of address this in a little more specificity there and get a little more detail. Anything that I talk about right now that you have further questions on, you want to dive deeper in, just feel free to kind of re-message me back on that. That would be good. Ideally, and this is just for future, unless it's like specific kind of confidential information where it's, hey, like, can you look at this kind of beta thing or this new product launch or things that like you don't want other members to see. Ideally, if you could post this in the main school thread, that'd be great because what ends up happening is actually a lot of the questions you're asking, the answers that I give to those could be valuable and likely valuable to a lot of other members, and vice versa. You may see, if I'm only sharing these DMs, you're going to miss out on, other answers I give to other members that could be valuable to you. So, if you don't mind, that'd be great. Just in future kind of questions, put that just in school, just tag me in it, and then I can answer there. Again, if it's a question related to like really specific kind of confidential stuff that can't be shared with the members, that's totally fine for DMs. But anything like this where it's like, hey, this is kind of where we're at. Just want some advice on the ad account. That's going to be good to put there. So just wanted to share that before we dive in. And also, it'd be great, especially with where you're at in the process, if you guys could make it to the calls, at least one call a week. Ideally, you're showing both calls, but at least one call a week because we can move a lot faster if every week you're coming to calls and saying, hey, we just launched this, we just launched this, what should we do here, what should we do here? That way we can give more feedback more quickly and then go and implement the stuff, come back in the next call with data, right? So just wanted to share that for context before we get started. Now, in terms of where we're at, kind of the ad account, kind of going through just the questions that you asked and looking at a macro level performance of the ad account. Honestly, so we need to look at two things here. One is like total spend, and then the other is looking at spend specifically on conversion campaigns where the goal of those campaigns is actually selling stuff and isolating that. So, obviously if you're looking at, hey, all the spend that's been done on community interaction and video views and stuff, that's not a direct response ad. Not a ton of sales. Obviously, no sales are going to come in from that. So what I'd look at is like, community interaction. In the blueprint, we talk about, hey, um, once you get to a certain point, you can kind of turn this off. So if you want to keep getting more and more likes, that's fine. But also if you're like, hey, our budget's, kind of tight and we really just want to drive sales, you can also pause these non-direct response ads. You spend almost 2 grand on community interaction, which is obviously going to offset and kind of impact your total ROI there on the campaign. So just that's one note there, because it's actually like you spent probably more on the community interaction, or equal to the actual conversion ads. Now, in terms of the actual conversion ads, S3 starting at this was just ad to crop optimization. This campaign actually looks really good for your first conversion campaign in the account with the blueprint. $709 in spend, really strong click through rate, 2.68%. That's really great. I love that number there. Really great cost per click. Everything looks really solid on this. $5 add to carts. And then on the purchases, so 7 purchases, CPA around $100. The ROAS on that 1.74. Now, again, we always want lower CPAs, higher ROAS. Would love to see the CPA in the double digits. And then ROAS over 2. But for first campaign, add to cart, 7 purchases, 174, lots of add to carts. This actually was a really strong campaign. And then if you go down kind of further in here and look at the 3 ad groups running with 4 ads under each, one of the ad groups was sub $179 CPA, 2-3x ROAS, and then if you go into the actual ad group itself, we have most of the spend went to this right here, but yeah, so this ad drove 3 of the purchases, $78 CPA at a 238x ROAS on first time acquisition. So lots of bright spots in here for this first campaign. Now, a few things, and actually I talked to Jesse about this, and it, potentially was a miscommunication or just in that account handoff, these ad groups are supposed to have audiences in them, right? And so if you actually look, and I believe Jesse may have messaged you this already, so if you've already heard this, it's just a repeat. But I noticed that these actual, like, if you go into the ad groups, the interests weren't put into here. So if you go to like interest, audience name, these are all broad ad groups. These are all technically the same ad groups. And same thing with the purchase campaign you just launched. So what we want to do is I would relaunch the purchase campaign, or at least the two ad groups in there that aren't broad, with actual interest and with actual purchase intention. I think that one change alone is going to be a pretty massive game changer. It's actually great news that like this campaign did so well, considering that it was just all broads. It was three broad ad groups, um, and it came in almost a 2x ROAS. So I think you're going to see, based on historical data in the ad account, that there could be some momentum, some better performance with some interest, and then the purchase intention where it's just a higher quality potential visitor, especially for the purchase campaign. So that's one thing I noticed right out of the gate, is just that setup there, that the interest weren't actually put in when the account handoff was done. So definitely want to do that for the new campaign you just launched. If I go over to that one, that's let's see, S5 here. So yeah, I would relaunch what's interesting is this broad campaign here. These are all technically the same audience. This is what's interesting about platforms. Like you have the exact same audience, but because it's so big, it can perform wildly different. So if I look at like this actually has 5 entity checkouts. So what I would probably do, because this interest is actually just a broad ad group anyway, with the actual targeting it, there's no targeting, is I would just kind of keep this top performing one live, rename it broad, and then pause these two, and then just create two new ad groups. One is going to be your interest, one is going to be your purchase intention, and get those running for your purchase campaign. So that's something I would do immediately. That's going to have a pretty big impact on account performance, because now you're at least testing different audiences. So that was one just kind of obvious thing that stuck out to me. The other thing, you talk about pricing, right? So with retargeting, I would definitely start doing that with your retargeting ads. I wouldn't do that necessarily with your cold traffic ads, because I'm not a fan of leading with discounting and leading with deals. I think what you do is you lead with the quality, lead with the value, and then for people that are on the fence, then you can retarget them and re-engage them with a deal. So I would definitely, for your retargeting, because these are all people that have already engaged with you to a degree, I would definitely, with these ads, leverage discount codes, promo codes, deals in these ads. So if you want to relaunch these ones, you can do that. Honestly though, like I'd probably, if it was me, this ad right here actually has, the least, it doesn't have a lot of spend, but it has a purchase of $34 CPA. So you could kill the other ads that have spent with zero purchases, relaunch those with with deal copy. You could put it both in the text here, some type of discount. You can also leverage interactive add-ons. The only time I'm a fan of these is for this type of thing where you can actually overlay like a coupon code onto the ad. So I think doing both interactive add-ons with the deal and then adding in the text, those two things would be good, to get all those people that are like, hey, this is really cool, I love this product, I want a deal, I want a 10%, 20% off discount, whatever you feel comfortable with there. I think that'll be a needle mover, and that's what I would start in terms of just the pricing. Again, I wouldn't do it on your purchase campaign. I would just do it on the retargeting, at least for right now. What you can always do as well is you can always like do flash sales. You can always do flash deals. You can always do things like that. But I wouldn't make that the thing you lead with for all of your ads. Okay, so that was the retargeting, the price discussion there. Then we had the purchase, kind of the interest, some of the targeting there. So two other really kind of big things that I noticed that I believe will have a big impact on performance in this ad account. One is just who you're targeting and how broad it is and where you're going. What I mean by that is if you look at the purchase, let's actually go to the add to cart campaign that ran. And I also, so this is just one other note on this add to cart campaign. I told Jesse to pass this along to you because I know you guys had a call about launching the new campaign and everything. In the future, just this is kind of a rule of thumb, and this is in the course as well. If something's working, I never turn that thing off. Okay. So, and I know a lot of it has to do with budget. So it's always a question of, hey, do you have the budget to run both things simultaneously? But if it was me, this campaign's add to cart campaign was getting purchases, and you had an ad group in here that was doing, over a 2x ROAS. Um, I would never turn that off. I'd keep the thing running and launch the purchase campaign on top of it. So just something in the future is just looking at, when things on any ad platform are making you money and are getting sales, I would keep those things running, especially because this is driving lots of add to carts, which you could retarget and abandon cart recovery. So something to consider, depending on your budget and resources, would be even relaunching this add to cart campaign with the winners and keeping that running simultaneously, because this was driving sales. It was driving a lot of add to carts, which is going to make your retargeting campaign perform better as well. So that's something, if it was my account, that's what I would be doing. Now, the main reason I came in here was to look at just on the data side. So let's look at the audience here. Let's go to gender. Let's look at the gender breakdown. So yeah, so a lot of the traffic is going to, the spend is going to female, okay? And then you have, a little percent of it going to male. What I would be doing is, instead of just driving people, because also all your ads are featuring this, the main ad is featuring this female creator, but it's going to, all your ads are basically going to your homepage. Okay. Now, the problem with that is you're now requiring that person to take a lot of steps to find and buy a product. And each click you require that person to make, there's going to be a percent of those people that bounce. Every single page click you lose, you get fewer and fewer people to that end page. And so just the difference of sending people to even your, women's, shop all, even if it went to like this fall or winter collection, or just the, shop all at a minimum, and then them landing directly on the products in an easy to view format where they can quickly see, oh, look at all these cool designs. Just that difference of cutting down one step and making it more congruent and relevant to them should increase your conversion rates and should bring your CPA down. Because again, if I click your ad and then I land here, now I kind of get, I don't get a instant view of all the cool products you have. I need to do some work. And you have a lot of stuff on the site, which is great. You have a lot of SKUs. But if I'm the customer now I need to go and, like, again, most of your traffic is female. And let's look at this actually in mobile, because that's, everyone's going to be viewing in mobile. Okay. So I hit this page. Let me get rid of that. This is also, just by the way, this is really hard to read. I'm not sure if you notice this. Like, this blue color is almost impossible to read on this. So I'm sure you're losing just some people because they can't even see you're doing this weekend sale, but you actually can't see, like, all sweaters are on sale now, but it's really hard to tell that all sweaters are on sale right now. Just a note there. But so yeah, I hit this page. I'm a female. I clicked that ad. That jacket looked really cool, right? That I saw in the ad. But now I need to scroll. Okay, scroll down. There's this women's box, men, youth. There's all this stuff I can click. Or I got to click over the hamburger menu. And then there's, first thing I see is hats, then men, then women's. And then I need to click down women's. I need to go to, either women's feature, women's clothes. Like, it's so many things I need to do just to get to wanting to look at the clothes. And then even here, like, going, if I wanted to look at like women's all, it's kind of, it's not as congruent there. But yeah, if I come to just like this, where it's, okay, I hit this page. Now I quickly can see, I can just scroll through, oh, look at all these cool, jackets and sweaters. And I'm going to see the one that's from the video and all this stuff, right? It makes it a lot easier. And I can click on that. Oh, I love this jacket. Cool. I want to buy it. And there we go. So just that, I think, will make a big difference. Is, again, instead of going directly to the homepage, which is what right now you're going directly there, going at least directly to the women's featured, women's new collection, women's shop all collection, because that's basically where all your traffic is going anyway. And what I would do is then I would just target women in the targeting. If you want to run ads in the future, we have ads where it's, it's a guy, I would do it to the guy section. If it's men and women in the ad, I would just do it. You can do shop kind of all store wide, but for apparel, because it's so gender specific, I would, because you're basically, again, the men that are clicking, small percent. Maybe they're looking for a gift for the women, and if that's the case, and they want to go to the women page anyway. Um, yeah. So that's that on the destination there. I think I had another thing on here. This is not a big one because the ad text is such a small deal on TikTok. But I think this could be stronger. So like here to inspire you doesn't really say much, right? Like I'd want you guys to be a little more specific about, you know, making the, warmest and stylish clothing, you know, directly in our Colorado factory, made in USA, or something like that, where it's like there's a clear USP and it's really clear, like who you are, what you do, why somebody should be excited about it in one sentence. Because like here to inspire you just doesn't really say anything, and so I think I look at all this stuff as valuable real estate, and if I'm using this limited real estate, I want to make sure I put my best foot forward there at the most compelling angle. So I would change that text on the ads, make it more specific about what you make and where you make it, USP, unique selling propositions, really hitting on that, or even just something as simple as, if you want to just be really generic or short, it's like, over, 2,612 5-star reviews, or things like that, where just there's something there that adds to objection blocking and the sales process. Okay. So I would do that. I think all that's going to help when it comes to increasing conversion rate. And then there's one more thing I want to share here. So I think the next big thing that I'd be launching this account just to speed the process up would be the creative testing campaign, because you have a lot of additional videos that, Jenna and our team have created for you to test. You have Creatify and other apps that you can use, and creative testing is going to be the biggest unlock. Everyone in our program, every consultant client of us, every agency client of ours that has a breakout success and starts winning on the platform, it's because they consistently and rapidly were testing creative in the ad account every single week. And so it took 4, 8, 12, 16 or so videos to test, and then they found that breakout video, right? So again, if you're hitting, like, we kind of aim for a 25% success rate, meaning that if we test 4 videos, we find 1 video that works and that's performing. And so if you're testing 4 times that, you're going to likely find 4 videos that are working, and out of those 4 that are working, meaning they're profitable and showing really good metrics, 1 or 2 may be like big winners, where it just dramatically all of a sudden now conversion rate doubles and click-through rate doubles, and metrics like that really can impact the ad account. What I would do though is, the first thing I would do before launching creative testing is do the first thing in the video I talked about, which is, make sure you relaunch the ad groups with the actual audiences, so you can effectively identify a winning audience. Because right now you've basically just tested broad. We need to also test the interest, purchase intention, to see which of those 3 is the best performing audience. Once we find the best performing audience, then we can use that as the audience for the creative testing campaign to rapidly test each creative, at $50 a day or so. So that would be, again, next step would be the audiences, get them updated. Then it would be the creative testing, to find more winning creative, and also to effectively allocate spend to creative. Because if you actually look into a lot of the ad groups here, a lot of them, the spend, and this is what happens, this is why we do 1-to-1 creative testing. Instead of throwing 4, 6 ads under an ad group, we throw 1, because TikTok, Meta, all these platforms will weight spend really heavily to 1 or 2 of the ads really early on. So if you look at a lot of your ad groups, it's like 1 of those ads is getting almost all the spend, and the other 3 barely getting spend, even though they might be winners. So we want to really get the creative testing going so we can get the spend going to a lot of different ads, and see if we can beat that initial ad that's running, getting most of the spend in the ad account. So yeah, those are all things that I would get going there, get launched. I'd also be curious. I don't know where we're stand with with your TikTok shop and doing stuff there. If you haven't gotten going there, I definitely would get TikTok shop up and tested. We're seeing with anybody that's running it on our end substantially higher conversion rates and lower CPAs. There are some downsides. Obviously, you don't get as much of the, you might lose some of the data, some of the upselling, but all that's like TikTok's working on improving and adding ability to message and cross sell customers. But just to see, you know, what's the trade off, right? AOV might go down a little bit, but if conversion rate goes up massively more, CPA drops further, it's actually a better deal. So that's something I would definitely look at for your ads is getting a TikTok shop test going in addition to what you're doing here. But again, I think all things equal, if we're looking at just the money spent on the conversion campaigns, specifically that first add to cart campaign, there's a lot of positives here. It's driving sales. It's, like I said, the add to cart campaign is close to a 2x ROAS across the entire campaign. Individual ad groups are above a 2x ROAS. And that's without having any different audiences in there and only have tested 4 creatives so far. So I think the account's in a good spot. It's just about reallocating spend a little bit, cutting off some of the non-conversion based campaigns, getting other interests and other audiences in there, getting creative testing going, and then also making sure we're targeting just the women, going directly to the women's collection. All those things should put the account in a really good spot to start ramping up spend. And then also the retargeting with deals and discounts. And then I think the final question you asked about was the Creatify, and you said, TikTok, somebody from TikTok business reached out and said that, not to use third-party apps and that you should be using CapCut. Listen, I think CapCut's awesome. So I think from an editing standpoint, you can totally use CapCut, but they're different things, right? So like, I guess let me digress. I love TikTok. I love the team over there. There's a difference between, and the same thing with Meta and all the platforms, between like the reps that reach out, which are basically kind of glorified salespeople, and then like the reps that we have, which work on the agency partnership team and actually are legit people at TikTok. A lot of the reps at Meta and TikTok that'll do outbound, that'll reach out to you with email and stuff like that and try to get on a phone call, they really don't know much. They're not marketers. They don't know the ad platform well. They're essentially salespeople. And of course, they're going to want you to use all their stuff, right? It's in their best interest financially. ByteDance owns CapCut and it owns TikTok. And so, of course, they want you to use CapCut, not use anything else. What I would say is it's not an either or. So CapCut is awesome. We use CapCut for almost all of our editing. It's an amazing app, lots of powerful stuff in there. You can do some really cool stuff with AI. So CapCut's great. Still use CapCut. But CapCut doesn't have, it's like trying to do everything all at once. And there's going to be other tools out there where you can do some really cool stuff. So with, Creatify, I would still look at using Creatify to generate lots of videos really, really quickly and really effectively. What you could do is you can create a Creatify, export, and then you could tweak in CapCut. You could do some final editing. You could maybe, if you want to add some more captions there, some text overlays, different things, and then you can export from CapCut and put it into TikTok. So that kind of kills two birds with one stone there, where you can use CapCut for the polishing on the editing side, but Creatify to generate all the AI videos, because what they're doing on the AI side is just better, in my opinion, in terms of the hyper realistic avatars are better. The ability to green screens and all stuff is better. So I think the tech there right now is superior. The guys that are building Creatify worked at Meta's AI lab and Snap's AI lab, running that for a decade. So they have really, really deep insight into AI. And you have the credits. So again, creative testing is so critical and so huge. I would be using it to just pump out a lot of videos that you can test, looking at doing a lot of the green screen videos, showing off your newest collection. And like I said, you can use CapCut to do the editing and some tweaking if you want, and export into that. But again, I wouldn't go only use CapCut just because somebody at TikTok said don't use CapCut. We don't, right? Even some of our best ads for our coaching program weren't even made in CapCut. They were made in Descript. So it's not like you can only make winning ads if you use CapCut. You can use lots and lots of tools to edit. You can use lots and lots of tools to create videos, and they perform really well. At the end of the day, the editing tool you use isn't what's going to make the ad perform or not perform, right? It's going to be the content of the ad, the hooks of the ad, the substance of the ad angle itself. A lot of those elements are what's going to drive performance. So I think that covered all the questions there. Again, like I said, I know we covered a lot of stuff in this video. If there's follow-up questions, if there's things you want clarification on, deeper dives on, feel free to respond back to this with those questions, and I'll do my best to get back to you over the weekend. If not, if you want to kind of just write those down and then come to the call on Tuesday, that'd be ideal because then we can have a dialogue about it. So either one works for me. But again, like I said, I think coming to the call, being there live, having a discussion about it is the most effective way to handle this. But I think we're in a good spot. Lots and lots of promise in the ad account. Just got to make some tweaks and then we'll be rocking and rolling. Have a great weekend.